Today we visited the first big destination of the trip, Channel Islands National Park, off the coast of Southern California, with its windswept history and amazing characters. The adventure begins today. Traffic was light on the 25-mile drive down US Highway 101 from Thousand Oaks through Camarillo and Oxnard. I was very impressed with the emerald green hills and the mighty clouds and the fog overhead. I know I said I wanted to avoid big highways like this on this trip, but it's the only practical road here. Thanks to California for providing such nice scenery anyway. It also struck me how, when you drive, you often see things that seem normal at first glance, but when you think about them, you don't understand them. Like this way station, it says no pickups. So what does that mean? Does it mean that pickup drivers sometimes pull in here, even though they're not supposed to? Or at other way stations, pickup trucks do need to pull in, but not at this one? Who knows? Not me. All part of the fabric of a road trip. America throws a lot at you, and you take what you need and you leave the rest. As we neared the coast, my heart jumped when we saw the sign for the park. In some ways, it's just a highway sign like any other, but on a road trip like this, these brown signs usually mean something awesome is happening very soon. So we exited, and here in Ventura, California, it was obvious from the flat, watery feel of the land and the road that we were getting very near the California coast. And a few miles later, there it was, right at the end of the road, Channel Islands National Park. Well, actually the visitor center and park headquarters. The actual park, the 5 islands, are reachable by boat, weather permitting. Our plan was to visit the nearest island. But inside, we got the bad news. The Santa Ana winds are too strong today. There are 9-foot waves, and nobody is going to the islands today. Our guidebook mentions this possibility. According to it, not many people visit Channel Islands National Park at all, and of those who do, 90% only get as far as the visitor center. The good news is that the Robert J. Lagomarsino Visitor Center is worth the trip out here in and of itself. Displays teach you a lot about the islands and what makes them so unique. There are 8 islands in the Santa Barbara Channel. 2 of them became a national monument in 1938, and in 1980, 3 more were added and they became Channel Islands National Park. The park is those 5 islands plus the water that surrounds them. And each of the islands is different. There are plant species found nowhere else on Earth, and quite a lot of surprising animal and human history as well. The closest island to the mainland is called Anacapa, 12 miles out, where we wanted to go. The cool 3D model had to suffice. Native Chumash people once lived on Anacapa, which is made up of a long spine of rocks and 3 islets. In 1853, a ship called SS Winfield Scott was going through the Santa Barbara Channel. In heavy fog and at full speed, it smashed into the rock spines at Anacapa. The 450 people on board and much of the cargo were rescued, but the boat sank. The wreck is still underwater off the island's coast, and it's on the National Register of Historic Places. Snorkelers and scuba divers might get a glimpse of it. The next island is the largest. Santa Cruz is 22 miles long and big enough to have mountains and valleys. The Santa Cruz Basin, to the south of the island, is deeper than the Grand Canyon. This is a great place for hiking. Not the basin, but the island, you know. Santa Rosa Island is 15 miles long and home to some unique species, and its past was even more exciting. As the official park brochure says, flightless geese, giant mice, and pygmy mammoths are extinct. Wouldn't you like to go back in time and see that? In 1994, an almost intact skeleton of a pygmy mammoth was found on this island, and you can see a replica in the visitor center. San Miguel Island is the most rugged, exposed to the brutal Pacific winds with daunting rocks all around its waters. The Chumash people lived here too, and Juan Rodriguez Cabrillo, the first European to visit the islands, also made it here in 1542. San Miguel Island was once used for bombing practice by the Navy. I don't think the Park Service condones that these days though, so leave your artillery at home.
Sheesh, who needs it?
Those 4 islands used to be one big island, but the 5th island is separate. Santa Barbara, further to the south, is the smallest of the Channel Islands, with rolling grassy hills and steep cliffs all around it. It was once inhabited by the Tongva people. Now, much of this information I found in the official park brochure, so I vowed to collect these along the way over the next 3 months as we stopped in at national parks. We also bought a souvenir Channel Islands coin token thing. If each park has a cool coin like this with a unique design, that'll be a cool collection too, so we bought a coin holder also. The highlight of the visitor center for me was the aquarium in the middle. Various types of local sea creatures swim around it, and I didn't know starfish could be a foot long. Towering over the aquarium is a model of an elephant seal with a face you can't help but love. We were the only viewers of the instructive movie presentation, and outside there is an attached garden with local plant species, like this cool cactus. You can't have an American road trip without some cactuses. We went to the beach on the other side of the parking lot to get as close to the islands as possible. Waves were crashing against the rocks, and it was really hard to even hear each other over the wind. Plus, it was pretty chilly. I admired these people for attempting a picnic. And I wondered what it felt like to be on this sailboat. You can see the islands from the shore, at least one of them. I think this is all Anacapa Island. Also fun for me were the seabirds, goofing around in the wind like it was nothing, flying in formations or alone back and forth in the cold, sunny afternoon, enjoying the elements, looking for fish. And as much as I love my 1-drop blood sugar meter, it just doesn't photograph well in the sun. It was 145, I swear. You think about big things when you look at the sea. I thought about how this was the beginning of such a long trip. I thought about how we'd be seeing the Atlantic Ocean in the coming weeks, and the dozens of places in between all across the country. We got to enjoy more of those green hills as we drove back to the hotel afterwards. These, by the way, are the Conejo Hills, famous for their wet climate and their pretty hiking trails. Thousand Oaks, at least the part we were staying in, is defined by strip malls and fast food chains. So our lunch was Jack in the Box. You know you've been out of America too long when a curly fry entertains you this much. In the evening, we went to a nearby mall to buy a Wi-Fi cube from Verizon, since our phones only work in Japan and otherwise will be cut off from civilization in the car. And then dinner was more fast food, El Pollo Loco, for the second time in 2 days. But I never met a taco bowl I didn't like. The day ended with a microwave mishap, don't tell anybody, a good blood sugar, and another early bedtime. Tomorrow we leave Thousand Oaks, look at some famous Los Angeles sights, and hit the road for real, heading deeper into California and ending up at a classic American motel right on Route 66.